If I was to tell you what the number one silent killer of your relationship with God is, most people wouldn't believe me. But here it is. The number one silent killer of your relationship, or for many people's relationship for God, is the fact of losing friends. What are people going to think? What's my family going to think? How do I know this? Because I was one of those people. I was too scared to share my faith because, the friends I've had for years. They know me when I was out there drinking, when I was out there partying. They know me when I was sitting there having a little toke here and there. They know me from the language that I used. The thing about it is I use that as an excuse to be, at the very best, to be lukewarm in my relationship with Jesus Christ. And because we're human beings, we want the camaraderie that comes with having friends. We want the relationship that comes with having friends, thinking that, hey, somebody's got my back if I need something or whatever. And the fact is that the enemy uses that. Here's what I have found out, though. Well, before I go into that, did you know that they actually speak of this in the Bible? Let's look at one verse real quick. Excuse me. And I'm reading from the NIV, just so you know. But if you look at the book of John, chapter 12, verse 43. For they love the glory of God that comes from man. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I misquoted that. For they loved the glory that comes from man more than the glory that comes from God. And in Galatians, Paul even wrote, For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. One thing that I had to overcome, and that's part of the reason why I started sharing my ministry on my personal Facebook page, is I had to stop being afraid of losing quote unquote friends. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Our friends, if they really are friends, will accept you no matter whether you're following Christ or following the ways of the world. Okay, true friends are going to be with you. And here's another kicker to this, is by living out our faith, by growing our walk with God, by developing a deeper relationship, by reading the Word, by coming to the Lord in prayer, people see that, and they see that reflection in your life, and they start drawing near to God as well. So you are discipling your friends in the process without necessarily shoving it down their throats or discipling them directly, because they see it in your life. I have many friends now who, were with me when I was doing all that worldly stuff. And, it was one of the things when I started this back in August, this ministry back in August, when I was still working, many people were starting to see the difference between the way I used to be to the way I was then, now. And yes, I did lose a couple of people, to be perfectly honest with you. And at the same time, the people who stayed with me, who still continue to have conversations or, we're just friends, are there for a reason, because, they're friends. They aren't just there to get something from me. So if that's you, if you're one of those people who's, excuse me, afraid to express yourself spiritually, get over it. Okay? Your true friends will stay your friends. And, I did have one friend that actually turned away and said, I can't deal with you anymore. They came back because I think what happened was through me and the way I was living my life, sort of convicted them of what they were doing. And, they had to come to grips with that on their own, because I'm not here to shove anything down anybody's throat. I'm just here to give my advice. So, but if you're afraid of losing friends, stop. Ultimately, if you look at it from a long-term deal, is your friends can't give you eternal life. God can. Your friends cannot give you peace and an unconditional love. God does. So stop letting the fear of friends and family, knowing that you're growing spiritually, stop you from drawing closer to God. God bless you. Have a great day.